Good morning. I am Rolf R. Nolasco Jr., Ruben P. Job Professor of Spiritual Formation and Pastoral Theology here at Garrett-Evangelical Theological Seminary. And thank you for joining us today. GTalk is a space for soulful conversation. It is about engaging in God talk in a manner that is personal, practical, communal, embodied, and open-ended. Here at the Job Institute, we are committed to amplifying voices that are often overshadowed by the dominant discourse of Western epistemology and ways of being, particularly in matters of faith, practice, and spirituality. And for this edition of G-Talk, we will be exploring the life world of the Babaylan, an indigenous community of healers and organizers in the Philippines, my home native land. For today's G-Talk, we are privileged to have Dr. Jesus Katigan Insilada with us. Dr. Insilada is an educator, poet, and Babaylan practitioner. He has won 4 Palanca Awards for his Hiligaynon short stories and was a recipient of the Princess Chakri Award for Outstanding Educators in Southeast Asia. In 2018, he was one of the 10 finalists for the Varkey Foundation Global Teacher Prize. Due to the technical difficulties we encountered, you will only hear the audio recording of the conversation. So take a listen and enjoy. Thank you. Dr. Jess or Jesus Insalada, thank you for joining us today. We are grateful that we can talk to you about the Babaylan and your connections, not only with them, but the work that they've started long time ago. And so I wonder, Dr. Insalada, if you can explain or describe for us who the Babaylan are and the role and what roles they traditionally held during pre-colonial society.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity and a pleasant day to all. I am Jesus Katigan Insilada, a native of Kalinog, Iloilo, Philippines. I'm from the family of healers, and in our own context, we call our healers as Babaylan, among other names. Sometimes we call them with other names such as Merco, Serojano, and other names. But most commonly, we refer to them as Babaylan. And if we're going to study Philippine history before colonization, that's Spanish colonization to American colonization and others. Um, we've had the Babaylan as community leaders, and they play different roles, and significant roles in the community. And one of these roles as faith healers. Um, they have that connection between the mortal and the immortal world. They can communicate and connect with the beings in the upper world and even in the underworld. In the context of the Panay Bukidnon are the indigenous cultural community in Panay Island, Western Visayas, Philippines, and we believe in the different layers of the universe. And as Babaylan, they have the power to connect with the creatures in the upper world and in the underworld, as they could also connect and as they also inhabit the earth, our own dimension. So that's how the Babaylan connect with the different worlds, uh, connecting our own world to the other dimensions.
Thank you, Dr. Insalada, for this wonderful introduction to who the Babaylan are and their role in pre-colonial society. I'm curious to know more about the word healer. because you've mentioned that right off the bat, and that the Babaylan are actually community of leaders and healers. Could you describe for us what you mean by the word healing or healers in the context of Babaylan wisdom and practices?
Healers, they are considered healers because uh, they have the expertise to uh, to help the people to maintain not only their physical health but as well their mental spiritual health. This means that in well-being for us is a significant part of our being humans.
Mm,
We do not only maintain physical health, but also our mental and our spiritual health. And that would be able to connect with the spirits, with the spiritual world, so that we could maintain good relationship with them. Because if not, uh, the equilibrium or the balance would be broken, and then spirits would go against us. So as healers and as spiritual leaders, they are here to guide us to preserve harmony and at the same time inner peace as we coexist not only with the mortals but also with the immortals. As what I have mentioned, these are beings or creatures who would inhabit our dimension, but we cannot really see them. But the healers or the Babaylan could communicate and communicate with them. Uh, we also coexist with those creatures in the underworld, meaning supernaturals under the water or under the earth, or the supernaturals inhabiting the upper world, the skies, and the large expanse of the universe. So, faith healers, Babaylans as faith healers are there to uh, to connect with these different dimensions and to send us the message how we could preserve harmony and preserve harmony, no, among those creatures that we coexist. So that's how important is the role of the faith healers for us to preserve our sanity,
mm,
because in the context of the Panay Bukidnon, those who do not maintain harmony with uh, the other dimensions uh, ano, would destroy their sanity, okay, and they would not think well. They may feel disturbed, or their inner peace would be disturbed. So for them, um, this is also a sign of an inflected person, a person
mm,
who do not have sound health.
mm.
Because for us, sound health is a totality uh, of our of our well-being in harmony with not only with the creatures but also with the the elements of nature.
Mm.
So that's uh that's how we view uh sound health and well-being.
Dr. Insalada, it sounds like the Babaylans then and now are quite focused on holistic healing. That
Yes,
their
holistic healing.
that their intention is to foster wellness in all areas or domains of one's existence, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
personal or communal. And that is really quite beautiful to see that Filipinos particularly among indigenous peoples, are very steeped in holistic understanding of the world and their commitment
That's right.
to facilitating holistic wellness. I wonder,
Yes.
Dr. Insalada, if you can provide some ritual practices that Babaylans then and now are engaged in to facilitate healing and wholeness and harmony and wellness among its people.
To give an example, babaylans or faith healers have pet spirits.
Mm,
Our local term for that is sinakpan. So these spirits could be helpful to maintain sanity and wellness, but they could also go against
mm,
if not well taken care of.
mm.
So the babaylan is there to mediate between the mortal and the immortals, the spiritual world. Um, these pet spirits could inflict injury or disease or would disturb the inner peace. So the babaylan would perform certain rituals to appease them. Um, One example of a ritual to appease the spirits is the buruhisan. It is performed by doing some chants and offering food, vegetables, or any harvest to appease the spirits. And it is with the principle that whatever that we get from the earth should be shared to the spirits who are the keepers
Mm.
of the earth, the water, and the air and the skies. And the reasons of reasons why spirits would go against the people would be greed,
Mm.
would be destruction of the natural environment,
Mm.
would be uh, the wrongdoings that they do with their fellows.
It's almost
And
like go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
yes, and the spiritual healers or the babaylan would be there to remind the people and the whole community on uh how should they live and how should they relate to uh the creatures that they coexist, including the elements of nature. So that's buruhisan. That's number one. Um, Number two is padulong. It's quite similar to buruhisan, but padulong is usually done in a protected area or a sacred place. So that means that um, perhaps a person who is inflicted of a disease had disturbed a mariit place. Uh, the concept of mariit is that uh, um, in our area, there should be some portion that should be untouched or should be protected because it is where the creatures, the spirits inhabit, and they should not be destroyed or disturbed. So when people would disturb their area, they would inflict disease or disturb their inner peace, and the babaylan would do the padulong, no? Usually in a forested area or uninhabited place or body of water. So depending on where that person had destroyed no an area or disturbed an area, whether it is aquatic or forested or a thicket or whatsoever. So the role of the babaylan is to connect and to maintain equilibrium.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like the pet spirits that you're talking about are benevolent in nature. That they are there to remind people of their wrongdoing, that they're there to
Mhm.
remind people of their deep connection to Mother Earth. They're there to
Yes. Mhm.
bring harmony, and so the punishment or the pain or the suffering that are inflicted upon them by these pet spirits are really there to call out
Mhm.
attention, so they can have a much more hospitable attitudes towards other people, but also towards the immaterial unseen world. Did I hear you correctly?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Dr. Insalada, thank you for those examples. And I grew up witnessing some of what you were talking about, even in our community. But if we can go back
Mhm.
to a little bit of pre-colonial Philippine society, how did the arrival of Spanish colonizers, even the American colonizers, impact the role and status of the Babaylan? What changed
Um,
after
uh,
colonization or during colonization?
okay. So, right now in the indigenous cultural communities, particularly in my area, um, 90 to 100% of the indigenous peoples are already converts, meaning they are already um, they are having already Roman Catholic religion as their faith. So others would already forget or would
Mm,
already not practice rituals done by the Babaylan, and they some would also integrate uh, the practices, the pre-colonial practices with their present practices. They would integrate, and uh, as also as a product also of modernization. Uh, for example, the materials that they would use in their rituals are already have also changed. One example is before, when they would use rice wine or tuba or coconut drink, you know. Now they would use as a substitute, they would use soft drinks or juice,
mm,
uh, among others. So these are the changes that I could see. And in my area, for example, there are only a few healers who would call themselves as babaylan. Um, just recently, we have uh, just our last two or three babaylan just died recently,
mm,
and I have known two, at least in my area, who still practice, and I plan to visit them. They are devout Christians, but they would also integrate, you know, the old practices of the babaylan. Just last week, my mother went to a manubulong, to a descendant of a babaylan. Babaylan, by the way, I would like to emphasize that Babaylan before would be the most common term we could use to refer to a healer, but some scholars or researchers um, discovered or learned, or based also on my research and readings and interviews, right now the Babaylan would be the highest the highest position a healer could get,
Mm.
because once a Babaylan, uh, you do not only perform as an herbalist, as a faith healer, or as a connector, or as a consultant, or as an arbiter. Because right now I have met different healers who would not want to call them babaylan, because for them their expertise is limited. So there are some who would only practice as a manugluya, meaning simple illnesses, or simple diseases.
Mm.
Um, there are some who could only do a certain ritual. There are some whose expertise is only on appeasing aquatic inhabitants, or those who live in the forest, or those who are found the in the air, or in the space, or in the terrestrial.
Mm.
So uh and according to them, once you are called babaylan, it means that you have the expertise in almost all areas of
Mm.
healing.
Mm.
So right now, I have met healers who would call themselves only as manugluya, for
Mm.
simple illnesses, common illnesses, um, herbalist, or merco, or and there are some also who could communicate with the outer world. So the babaylan that the people in the community used to refer to are now gone,
Mm.
and in their descendants, we could find a few who would practice, or perhaps they were trained by their forefathers or their grandparents who used to be babaylan. At a few months ago, we had a conversation with the binokot. These are women who's a part of their lives they experience in their a part of their lives they experience to be a binokot, or a well kept maiden.
Mm.
Pagbukot, or the practice of having a well-kept maiden in the family, is ipanay bukidnon practice, where a chosen girl, usually a girl,
Mm.
uh, is prepared, trained, and kept from the eye of the public, so that they could focus on learning the different aspects of the Panay Bukidnon culture, and one of this is on healing.
Mm.
Okay, there is one binokot there is one binokot we were able to interview, whose training was more on healing,
Mm.
and um, according to her, uh, her apos or grandchildren, among her grandchildren, there would only be one or two would be interested to be trained on this aspect, but according to her, she does not force them to to uh, to become one. It means that it really becomes their calling, because to become a babaylan, you don't decide for that,
Mm.
but you have to listen. You have to be aware of signs or maybe message, usually through dreams, or others would experience to feel bad, or they would be inflicted of a certain disease, and that would be a sign that they are chosen.
Mm.
So iba uh, agbabaylan, no, would know that, and then a ritual would be done
Mm.
to make that person well again. So once the person accepted, the calling to be a babaylan, she'll get uh good and well, and may, then she could perform, no, as
Mm.
guided by the babaylan. And
Is
so
that
a lot of changes are now happening. Number one is religion.
Mm.
Okay. Um, I have met one descendant of a Babaylan, a descendant also of a Binokot, who would not perform rituals, because maybe as a product also of uh, Catholic teaching, um, that these practices belong to uh, the evil,
Mm.
or could be considered as evil, or whatsoever.
Mm.
But I also remember one statement coming from a babaylan, that um we are the ones creating the good and the evil. So
Mm.
I want to go back to the discussion why pet spirits would go against, depending on how we take care of them.
Mm.
Mother Nature could also go against us depending on how we harmonize with its elements.
Mhm.
Um, the same with the good and the evil forces. Evil forces could be transformed into good. I like that idea, because Babaylan once emphasized that um everything in this world is either evil or good,
Mm.
and we have the power to transform what is what is evil to good, and to sustain that.
Mm.
So mm, that's one. Okay.
Dr. Insalada, it sounds
So
like within
mm,
Babaylan culture or within Babaylan community life, um, the work is shared not by one single person, but the work of healing and transformation and connecting is shared by different Babaylan individuals whose giftings really mirror the kind
mhm,
of needs that their community have. And that's really is quite fascinating that being a babaylan doesn't mean that you alone as a single person can do all these. That there are
mhm,
several babaylans within the community that conform very distinct but complementary tasks. Um,
mhm.
something about this maiden person who's being trained as a baylan. I'm curious to know what's the gender composition of babaylans then? Were they mostly
Okay.
women?
Okay. if we're going to study the etymology of the word Babaylan, um, some scholars I have read would associate the word Babaylan to babayi or bayi, and that would mean woman. But right now I have met good Babaylans who are not women but men. And based on accounts, um, like for example, in the account of the Gafeta and other explorers, most of the community leaders they have met are women, and these women were referred to as Babaylan of the community. But I want to go back to oral traditions or oral literature that would tell us where are the Babaylan during the prehistoric time. Were they men or women? And I want to go back to the idea of neutrality
Mm.
uh, when it comes to communal taking communal roles or being a community leader. In the epic Humadap Noon, one character there could transform from man to woman,
Mm.
from a delicate woman into a warrior. And for that character, it is needed to be strong sometimes and to be delicate sometimes, or to be flexible sometimes, to act as a woman, and sometimes one needs to be strong and brave to defend and to protect the community.
Mm.
And that's how I like
Mm.
how um the characters in the worldview of the pre-colonial times, that they I would like to say, maybe this is just my own interpretation or my own deduction, that they are gender neutral.
Mhm. Or gender
In the
fluid,
case
right?
of, it's fluid, yes, there's some sort of fluidity when it comes to taking roles, important roles in the community.
That's
I also would like to share, yes, I would like to share also that I have met Babaylans with different gender preferences. I
mm,
have met a Babaylan in our area who is gay, in the sense that she would wear a garb or a dress, and would act or would be very feminine, with sporting a long hair also, and doing some makeup. I
mm,
have met also one healer whose gender preference is masculine. Um, she she is a farm worker who would plow the farm and do do some masculine work.
mm,
So, according to them, it does not matter, because as a calling, whether you are man, woman, uh, gay, or a feminine or masculine, as long as you are called to be a babaylan, it does not matter. Um, I would like to go back to to certain criteria why a person is chosen to be a babaylan. And number one, according to them, that's purity of the heart.
mm,
Purity of the heart in the sense that you are chosen to serve without thinking of returns. Um, I have interviewed one babaylan on he, on her comment regarding those others who would call themselves as healers also, and would ask amount of money in return, no, after doing some ritual, or who would ask some favor according to that certain babaylan. If your intention is pure, you would not tell how much they should pay, or what pangayo, or or favor you would ask in return. The term for that is sanag. Sanag. Sanag is translated as light. Light. So that means that one babaylan shared to me that the family or the inflicted person shares a sanag because that would mean he or she believes in the power of the babaylan to mediate. That means that if that person believes, he will prepare something, no, uh to offer. It's some sort of an offering also. So it could be in the form of a black pig, or um chickens, or any harvest. Others would ask any amount. So a babaylan would tell me any amount would do, but one babaylan also said it should be waki. Okay, waki in amount. No, meaning it's not 100 pesos, or it could be 101 pesos, something that is waki, odd amount, something like that. So that's the comment, no, in reference to major criteria why a person is chosen: purity of the heart, the willingness to help, and because to be a babaylan is not that easy. You have to risk also your own self, your physical, your mental, and your spiritual readiness. Readiness. Because when you are weak in body or in spirit, um you would everything that you have, the force would come back to you. What I mean is that the force maybe that you exert, to balance and to maintain harmony, would come back and destroy you. Okay. So it takes a lot of preparation, a lot of readiness, a big amount of readiness. So there are babaylan I know who cannot manage their being a healer, and they would go insane. Maybe you have heard also about that. They would go insane. They would get ill. Others die because they are maybe they are not uh, holistically ready for the role. So um it's not that easy. It's a big role to be a babaylan, and that is why when you are chosen in the family, no, or in the family of babaylan, if you're the next descendant to if you're the next to perform or to take the role of a babaylan, it takes time also. It takes time for you to be prepared for the role. I have not known any very, very young babaylan. Maybe they could reach like 25, 30, because like doctors, they become more and more expert as time goes by also.
Mm.
So the best babaylans in town would be in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But as what I have said, as what I have mentioned a while ago, there are a few surviving babaylan in the area.
Mm.
Most of them are found, the rest of them, no, are found in remote areas, no, where there are no doctors.
Mm.
And people would also would only depend on the babaylan. And going back to your question, one observation also of the changes in my area, which is Calinog, Iloilo. We have more or less more than 10 or 15 barangays in the hinterlands. And there are no hospitals, no nurses, no midwives. And the babaylan are are the most sought after um medical, how do we call them, practitioners,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the community, in lieu of medical practitioners.
Mm.
So their words matter,
Mm.
their guidance matter. But right now, because of development, roads are being established,
Mm.
uh, due to access. One hospital is now being built in the second farthest barangay in my area, and hopefully, it will uh, it will open for operation. It will ano now, it will open in a year or two, and that would also change, no,
Mm.
um, practices of, I believe, no, it would change
Mm.
the practices of the babaylan. But I have seen also how communities would really respect.
Mm.
These changes would happen, development would take place, but I have observed that the wisdom of the babaylan still matters.
Mm.
Uh, my we now live in the uh lowland, not in not in a remote area. We now live in lowland with access to modernization,
Mm-hmm.
with the
Mm-hmm.
internet, with the w- with all the indicators of civilization. But my mother and father would still uh connect to the spirits of loved ones. We would
Mm.
still, we have just um conducted, no, our pangahaw. No, pangahaw is a ritual after harvest.
Mm.
We have to offer something to the dead loved ones, call them one by one, and be spiritually present in a banquet, and would uh, connect with them to continually protect and guide us and help us overcome any illness and anything.
Insilada,
Um,
if I can interject, it sounds to me
yes.
that based on your research and exposure to Babaylan life, that this community is very inclusive. That one's
Mm-hmm,
calling as a Babaylan is something that has to come from outside, some sort of
mm-hmm,
confirmation from the community. It's not something that you can volunteer for, and that being a babaylan doesn't really matter whether you're a man, woman, or
mm-hmm,
gender fluid. That really isn't a criteria. that it's more the purity of your heart and the willingness to serve and the willingness to go through training. And that's really fascinating. I have two more questions to ask you,
Yes.
Dr. Insalada. I know that our time is almost up, but this has been
Mm-hmm.
such an enriching conversation. My two questions are the following. Um, One more personal, would you consider yourself a babaylan? And how much of the work that you're doing now, you've received four Palanca Awards, you were one of the 10 finalists for this Grover Teacher Prize and really have accomplished a whole lot. How much of your heritage as an indigenous person or even as a babaylan influence the work that you do as a teacher, as a person? So that's my first question, which is more personal. The second one, which is the last one, is what can the philosophy and worldview of the Babaylan teach us about contemporary issues in Philippine society when it comes to gender, environment, and cultural identity? So one personal and one more it's a general, more global question. And
Okay.
feel free to address either
Mm.
first.
Do I consider myself a babaylan? Um, in some ways,
Mm,
I look at myself as a babaylan, though I may not be called a babaylan by the community. But within me, I would consider myself a babaylan because I can I also take the role of a mediator. I am an educator, and for me, that's one important role a babaylan does to educate the people, how they relate with one another, how they should respect one another, even the the unseen creatures that we co-inhabit.
mm,
I am a babaylan in a way that um, I am a strong believer that we need to maintain harmony with all the forces within and outside
mm,
every one of us. I am a babaylan because I want to uh, effect change among the people in my circle, in my community, and to transform whatever not good into
mm,
something good,
mm,
and to always be mindful of the way we think, the way we act, and in always in accordance with the concepts of respect with others, whether seen or unseen. And then for the last one, I firmly believe that the principles that the Babaylan uh, would like to share with us are timeless
mm,
because these principles are all about uh, harmonizing with ourselves, others, and the the forces that affect us. Um, with all the changes that are happening around us, we need to go back to the Babaylan worldview,
mm,
and that is to look at the universe as composed of the different dimensions, and all these dimensions affect us.
mm,
Um, we need to purify ourselves. That's the important lesson that the Babaylans are telling us, teaching us to always have a pure heart, and that means to have pure intentions
Mm.
in everything that we do,
Mm.
and to become a restorer and not a destroyer.
Mm.
We need to restore peace, especially our inner peace, to radiate peace to others. We need to um, listen, listen both with ears and heart to understand, you know, the different messages, good messages, uh, good messages for us to positively transform our communities.
Mm.
So that's important because as a babaylan, you know, the skill of listening very should be heightened.
Mm.
I think that's also true to us ordinary people, to have a listening heart, to listen to the message of the Mother Earth, the message of the other people, the message of the divine forces.
Mm.
Because Babaylan, Babaylans would also share to me uh, that they also believe in divine forces,
Mm.
though not only one or as we believe, no? But they believe in divine forces, that they would also have different names for this,
Mm.
but they would refer to as divine forces. So
Mm.
we need to listen, to have a listening heart to the messages that they send.
Mm.
And last thing, what we could learn from the Babaylan is also aligned to sustainability, how to take good care of our earth, and also to take care one another.
Mm.
Because when we take care one another, we take care of the environment. That's sustainability.
Mm.
Okay, that's
Uh,
sustainability.
what a wonderful message that was, Dr. Insilada. An urgent call for all of
Mm-hmm.
us, given the circumstance that we're in. So thank you for keeping
Mm-hmm.
alive Babaylan worldview and practices, and their commitment to harmony. Um, just one last question, if you can indulge me. I know that as a teacher, you are very intentional in using what you call cultural based education in your classroom, and
Okay.
somehow as a result you've gotten many recognition and awards because of the work that you're doing as a teacher and healer. I wonder if you can comment on what cultural based education is, and how much of that has been greatly influenced by Babaylan worldview and practices.
Okay. Culture-based education is an approach where uh, somehow Babaylan wisdom is also integrated into the lesson or into the curriculum. Um, it's about the indigenous songs, dances, all aspects of culture that we could think of, that we could integrate, that we could reintroduce to the younger generation. And this is a very huge role, significant role to do, because to know everything about culture, I need to reconnect. I
Mm.
need to uh, reconnect, for example, with the Babaylan, with the community, with the old practices, even the forgotten practices. So I could share this with the present generation and try to connect and find meaning and relevance of our existence before our colonized, what had changed, and try to weigh, um, and to ponder on, um, how our connection to this has transformed us to become better
Mm,
persons. I
mm,
think that's the main goal. How knowing the past would make us and prepare us also for the future, and always making this world a better place for us.
mm,
Um, as an educator, uh, I am just leaving the essence of my mountain name. I forgot to share with everyone that I am called as an igtaman. Igtaman means someone has so much to share, and it really captures my special role as an educator, and
mm.
somehow a a babaylan in my own right. Um, as an educator, I feel that, um, I do not do the task alone.
Mm.
Um, wisdom keepers are invited in my class to share. I learn from the culture bearers. I share their wisdom, and it's a continuous uh, effort to learn and relearn and to transmit and share. And for me, that is a very significant role. And maybe that's the reason why I was given the indigenous name Igtaman, because I have so much to share to the community, and that defines my being an educator and my being a babaylan in my own right.
And I have experienced how much of what you have shared to us this morning as coming from really your innermost being, and you do have a lot to share, and you've shared your wisdom with us today. And Professor Dr. Jesus Igtaman Insilada, may your tribe increase. May you continue to impact the lives of those you teach. And may you continue to spread Babaylan wisdom in all that you do, in who you are. Because I think that we need more people like you who can help us reconnect with our rich heritage, but also to call us into becoming better humans, taking care of ourselves, each other, and the planet Earth that we inhabit. So thank you for this morning's conversation. And I'm sure that Filipinos in diaspora, even my students here at Garrett and beyond, will find your talk, this conversation that we just had, fascinating. And we hope that through them and through this, they will find inspiration and healing and curiosity to get to know more about the world of the Babaylan. So thank you. Maraming salamat po sa inyong kontribusyon sa paglago ng ating kaalaman tungkol sa napakayang
Mm.
history meron ang mga Pilipino. Maraming salamat po.